my gosh, it's our first science lesson. Yay. Don't tell reading, but science is actually my favorite subject. So keep it on the DL. So the very first thing that we're gonna do is for science class is we are going to actually make a science journal. So what I need you to do is you need to go get a composition notebook, something to write with. And whenever I say something to write with in science class, I always mean a pencil because it has an eraser and we need to be able to make corrections. And then I'm also going to use a Sharpie because my journal is like really slick so the ink can come off. So what I want you to do right now is just like pause the video and then unpause it after you go get your stuff. The other thing is if you don't have a journal, you can just use a piece of paper today, okay? So go ahead and pause the video. Okay, if you're back from the video, first things first is I am going to identify what this is. So it makes it easier for me to organize if I can easily identify what it is. And by doing that, I'm gonna write on the front. So on the front, I'm going to my name. So my name is Mrs. Emmert. You are not going to write Mrs. Emmert because that's not your name. You're going to put your first and last name. So, and I'm going to put Mrs. Emmert at the top because that's my name. Then right under my name, I'm going to write the content that we are, sorry, my dog is squeaking her toy. We're going to write the subject, science. And the way you spell science is S-C-I-E-N-C-E. So science. And then right underneath science, I'm going to write my teacher's name. So if you're in my class, you're going to write Mrs. Emmert right below this. If you're in Mrs. Hawkins' class, you're going to write Mrs. Hawkins. But since I'm a teacher, I'm just going to write teacher's name. Or just teacher. Okay? So you should have 3 things on your science notebook so far. You should have your name, science, and your teacher's name. Okay? I'm just blowing on it because it's a little wet. Okay, the very next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to open it to the very first page. And on the very first page, we're going to call this our title page. And I am going to just write the same things that I have on the front. I'm going to write it right here. So, because sometimes like crazy stuff happens, like this might get torn off. And if so, then we have this here. So I'm going to do the same things again. This time I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to write Mrs. Emmert because that's my name. I'm going to write science because that's the topic. Subject that we're doing. And then I'm also going to write teacher so I can know who my teacher is. And this is just in case your notebook gets lost. They can go, oh, that student's in Mrs. whoever's class. Okay? So it looks just like this. Mrs. Emmert, science, teacher. Okay, so we've got our cover of our book, and then we also have the cover page, or the title page. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to create a graphic organizer that we're going to be using this week. So I want you guys to think about a book, like a book that you would read. Whenever you look through a book, every single page has something on it. They don't leave pages in between other pages. So that's how we're going to treat our notebook, our science journal. We're going to treat it just like a regular book. So I'm not going to flip to some random page. I'm not going to do that. I am literally just going to turn it to the very next page. I'm going to leave this side blank because this is our title page or our cover page. And then this next thing is going to be where I'm actually going to put my work. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put today's date. So even though I'm recording this on Sunday, I'm just going to pretend like today is September 8th, Tuesday, when you should be writing this. And so we're going to put September 8th, 2020. That's gonna go in the upper right-hand corner. So anytime that we write anything down in our notebooks, I want us to put our date in the upper right-hand corner. This is a really good way to organize our information, okay? All right. So the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to actually create a graphic organizer that you guys are going to use during your science class this week. So what we're going to write first at the top is classifying matter. So classifying matter is going to be the title of our first lesson, classifying matter. Okay, so I'm going to write classifying matter. So if you need to take a second to pause to write this, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, so some of you guys may remember what matter is. Matter is what everything is made of in our world. Everything is made of matter. I'm made of matter. This cup of water is made of matter. The water inside made of matter. Everything from our Sharpie, my dogs are made of matter. Everything in the world is made up of matter. Okay, and we're going to be classifying it, and that means that we're going to be looking at the measurements of it. We're going to be looking at the temperature and the magnetism, which means is it attracted to metal or a magnet. So we're going to be measuring it. We're going to be checking the temperature, and we're also going to be looking at the magnetism, okay? So the very first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create a quick little table. So I'm going to write my table right here, measuring mass. It's going to be my title. And so I'm just going to write that at the very top, measuring mass, okay? Then I'm going to write down item. I'm going to write down my prediction for the measurement of the mass, and then I'm going to write the actual mass. So if you're watching this and you're like, what the heck am I going to be doing? Don't worry, tomorrow you're going to watch a video that's going to go with you through this step by step. So I'm going to show you what I've done so far, and I want you to pause the video and I want you to write this, okay? Take as much time as you need to write it. Okay, all right, I'm gonna keep going. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to fill in a chart with the information that's already provided for us. So we're gonna be looking at 4 different items. The first item we're gonna look at is a lemon. We're gonna be looking at a pen, and then 2 other items. So we're just gonna leave that blank. So what I've done now is I've written down lemon and pen. Just like that, and I've divided it so with these little lines so that I know what I'm actually looking at. So I want you to pause it and I want you to write this. Okay, after you've pressed play, we're going to continue. I'm going to fill in a couple of other things that we're going to be looking at. So I want you to write less, and then I also want you to write I believe 93 grams, because we're going to be measuring in grams. Okay. It's going to look just like this. And the rest of the spaces, don't worry, they're going to be filled out during the video. Okay? So anytime you need to pause, even if I haven't said pause, if you need a pause to write, you can pause to write. Okay, we're going to keep going. The next thing is we're going to leave a big space in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line at the top and then a line in the middle, and I'm going to count how many lines I put. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, sorry, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I left a big space with 7 lines. Okay, that's what I want you to do. Then for our next one, we're going to write temperature. Because remember I told you that temperature is another thing that we're going to be measuring. Okay, so we're gonna create an organizer, a graphic organizer to organize our information. The way I'm gonna do that is we're going to measure the temperature of outside. We're gonna measure the temperature of a window. We're gonna measure the temperature of the fridge, refrigerator, and we're going to measure the temperature of the living room. And so don't worry if you're like, oh my gosh, how on earth am I gonna do this? I don't have a thermometer. Don't worry, it's gonna be in the video. Okay, so I'm gonna write temperature on this side, and I am going to write in degrees Celsius. Okay, so what I want you to know is that Celsius is actually a unit of measurement for temperature. So whenever we say how hot it is or how cold something is, in the United States of America, we use something called Fahrenheit. So a hot day outside is 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, everybody else in the entire world uses something called Celsius. And in science class, we like to use what the rest of the world is using so that we can share our important scientific discoveries. So we're going to be measuring in Celsius. So if you haven't gotten a chance already, I want you to pause the video and I want you to do this. Okay? All right, after you've pressed play, we are going to create this next thing. Remember, we are going to look at magnetism, which means, does a magnet like that object? So we're going to write magnetism as our title of our table, and we're going to divide it into two boxes. We're going to have magnetic and non-magnetic. So I'm going to write magnetism as the title of my table. Magnetism. And then I'm going to write a table, a two-chart table that is magnetic and non-magnetic. Okay, so magnetic means, yes, that it is attracted to metal. Metal and this object are attracted to each other. They pull together. They're just drawn to each other. Now, non-magnetic, it has that, it's called a prefix at the front of the word, non, N-O-N, non-magnetic. It just turns the word into like the opposite meaning. So non means not. So we're looking at magnetic and non-magnetic. So we're looking at items that are attracted to magnets and also items that are not attracted to magnets, okay? Okay? So if you haven't already done so, I want you to pause and create this right now. Okay? So that's all we're doing for today, because the rest of the week we're actually going to watch the video and fill in the tables. So at the very end of the week, your chart should be all the way filled out, okay? All right, guys. I want you to have a wonderful rest of your day and keep on being scientists. Mwah.